The eternal game. I know what you're thinking. What is the eternal game? Well, actually, it's a very easy answer. Some form of capture the flag, whether the flag is a small transportable object, like a ball, or an entire country. And it goes on and on and on, with or without you. As a player, you can come and go. As a character in the game, you can't go anywhere but where the character goes, where you are. And that's the condition in which most people find themselves just after being rebirthed. I am here. An endless parade of birth and death and rebirth, or as Yogi Berra said, it's all deja vu all over again. If you're one of those late bloomers, you'll be asking yourself, what in the world are you talking about? But if you're ready to hit the road, Jack, you'll heartily welcome the news that the game is still on, still running, still strong, and the server is, as always, almost full with just one open slot. You always get there just in time, whatever that means. Hey, if you're equipped with a standard model human, you got a belly full of neurosis by the time you hit 30. At 60, you'll be slowing down a bit, and when you're well into your 70s and 80s, you'll be wondering what's taking so long. Trips to Disney World can be agonizing even in your 20s, but try it with great grandkids and see where it lands you. In bed, trying to find a comfortable position, that's where. So, what has the eternal game got to do with you? Funny question, bornless one. I was hoping you knew what was going on. You are in a body separated by consciousness and vibration from the totality, the unity, or the singularity. In case you're too dense to get it, that means you are God. Not the God of the Bible, not the God of antiquity, the only God, the God of right now, right here, and everywhere. God is a singleness. There is no other. Out of myself I made the world, and you're welcome to it if Trump is the best you can do. The eternal game can be seen within the online video game Team Fortress 2, an adaptation of Quake, CTF, and Team Fortress 1 and Team Fortress Classic, all of which failed to achieve the popularity of Team Fortress 2, but they were the basis for the later game. There are other online games that produce the same pathway and portal to the eternal game, but they all have one characteristic. They are multiplayer, sometimes generally massively so. Team Fortress 2 is limited to a maximum of 32 players, 16 per side, sometimes 24 with 12 per side. The team members may choose to be any of the available character classes: Scout, Soldier, Pyro, Demo, Heavy, Medic, Spy, and each contributes differently to the gameplay and the team effort. One side is blue, the other side is red. Quite often, a player will get automatically team switched to rebalance the teams if two players on one side happen to both leave at the same time somewhere in the middle of a game. That's what often happens in life. Someone like Joe Scarborough, a rabid lifetime Republican, suddenly finds himself on the side of the blues. I've occasionally become confused about which side I'm on. This happens a lot when I play Spy. And I start blasting away at teammates because our base is overrun with blues if I'm blue and reds if I happen to be red at the time. This momentary bewilderment on coming out of respawn is what resulted in the song Am I Red, Am I Blue, which Jimmy and I recorded some decades of years ago. Well, here we are at the obvious question, what is the eternal game anyway? And I'm glad you asked it. It's a really good question. I just wish I knew the answer. You see, the game changes form, but the game never changes. The eternal game is the subtext to all life games. The obvious game is planetary survival, but the eternal game has little to do with organic life on any level. It transcends all the actions of the world. Underneath the visible world are many mansions, lots of worlds, many, many dimensions, loops and loopy doodles. There are worlds within sight, but they remain unseen. I can give you clear and obvious examples from what you can see with your eyes and ears. Listen, dollhouses. What do you really know about dollhouses? Even if you collected dolls, they aren't the same scale, which means the relative size, as dollhouses. In a dollhouse, you'll collect resin cast figurines, or if you collect antiques, they will be made of various materials, including wood, ivory, and porcelain. Doll houses can sell for as much as an actual house, and some furnished and electrified palatial mansion doll houses have sold for as much as $2.4 million. The Fordham Palace is an example in 2011, and the prices are skyrocketing more today. There's a whole world of dollhouseness out there, but if you're not aware of it, it's totally invisible. You wouldn't even suspect its existence, and yet it's in plain sight. That's one example. Coins, the world of coinology. Did you know that if you handle change at all, you could easily have in your hands a valuable penny worth tens of thousands of dollars, even hundreds of thousands? Some pennies minted this very year can be valued at many thousands of dollars just because they have a rare defect. Yes, defect. It turns out that the prettier the coin is, well, it just doesn't much matter how pretty it is unless it also has some oddity to it. I have some perfect pennies, MS-70s, 100% of perfect, that wouldn't bring more than $1 or two, yet my funky coins can be worth thousands. It's not about the pennies themselves, it's about your knowledge. Without knowledge, the world of numismatics is totally invisible to the ignorant eye. I have one coin that was minted by Mad King George III when the colonies rebelled, and he went nuts over losing them, so much so he tried to buy Greenland, and he wasn't the first king who ever tried to do that. U.S. coins are not the only coins in collections, and that brings tens of thousands and sometimes millions of dollars at public auctions and private trade. So I have a very powerful and fascinating collection of ancient Greek coins and another one of Roman coins. That's two different levels and classes of buyers. Ancient coins come in three flavors: bronze, silver, and gold. Bronze is a sort of copper alloy, meaning a mixed metal, but it generally looks like gold at first, that oxidizes to a dark brown color, that goes rusty and crusty and green, and that's what most ancient coins look like until they're expertly and carefully cleaned. Wrong cleaning ruins a coin just as much as any repair ruins a piece of antique furniture, with the singular exception of a Morris chair, which can always use a new fabric from the latest designer house. Fine art prints. The world of fine art prints. Sure, you go into a frame shop and buy a cheapo $200 print. Then you have the framer put it into a $2,500 frame that matches your new drapes and your couch, and by that, you count yourself among the art collectors of your generation, and you're not far wrong. I have a set of Dali etchings from the Maldoror suite, produced in 1934. Fact check me on this. Go to the Museum of Modern Art site. That's the MoMA webpage, and search for Dali etching Maldoror. You'll see all 42 of them displayed there. You will note that none of them has a pencil signature. That's because they were not signed in 1934. None of them were. When Lily Nova and I were having tea with Dali, which happened often enough, people would come up to him with one of these etchings and beg him to sign it, which he did, without informing them that the signature would lower the value of the print, which is no longer as issued. It's now an autograph with a picture, and it sells as an autograph, not as fine art. The actual original is unsigned. Miro had a few of these as well. Come to think of it, Picasso's copperplate engravings fall into the same category. If he signed it in pencil, it was years later, and it now counts only as an autograph. The world of jokes and gags, comedy, humor. A whole world of comedy, and all you've ever seen of it are a few stand-ups and a TV clown on a Saturday morning cartoon show. There is so much to comedy, and it's not just jokes, gags, and riddles. As a matter of fact, riddles aren't actually considered jokes, and jokes are referred to as gags by professional gag writers. Yes, gag writers. You didn't even know there was such a job, and there are tons more, like voiceovers and sound effects and costumes and makeup and so much more. Then there's theory of comedy. You need to develop your own act, but it's always built on the past. One of the first things you'll learn as a comic is there are no new jokes. All the jokes you've ever heard are recycled from ancient times, going back to at least the cavemen of the Paleolithic. The what? Ah, that would be the world of archaeology. Caves, mud huts, massive stone structures, pyramids, mummies. Sure, sure, but you need to know more than just archaeology to be an archaeologist, and the first thing you need to know is how to spell it. There are so many factors, so much to learn, to discover, to unearth, as it were. Publish or perish. And then there were all those digs. Do you have even a clue as to how many ancient cultures have been discovered just in the past few years? Did you know that it only began a few years ago? You need to know a little something about sociology, a bit of geology, some practical political science, and a sense of the daily life of the people that you're excavating at the moment. How about the world of fashion? Is that invisible to you? Do you think you know something about fashion because you stay, you should pardon the expression, abreast of the latest fashion trends? Movies, television, all the moving parts of the culture tell you that fashion is marching on, and every minute a new fashion is born. This is actually true, but totally irrelevant. Fashion is nothing without branding, and branding is worthless without promotion, and promotion is impossible without money. How about trout fishing in America? What do you know about that? What's the big deal about fishing? You put some bait on your hook and you lower it into the water and wait for a strike, and you reel in the fish and put it in a basket and bring it home and give it to someone else to scale, clean, and cook. There's nothing else to know, right? Have you ever been in a real sporting goods store? There's more to know and find out than you'll ever discover in a department store, because there's all sorts of things about fishing that you don't automatically know, like boats. And there's more, like fly tying and casting and weights and lines and thousands of other details and streams of interest. Fishing is a big subject, but not if you don't look. Looking is everything. So, I expect to see you at the game. Time you learned how to capture the flag and take it home, and time to learn how you can best help your teammates. And the best way you can help your teammates right now is just to subscribe to my channel. Thank you. The object of the game is to play the game. You'll never remember the score or the game or anything. A few minutes from now, it won't even matter. Nobody really cares who wins. Just play the game. Just play the game. See you at the top. Okay.